I'm still setting up and the thing just went live.
Videos.
Give me a
Small video
second.
for you.
I was completely cut off. I was trying to take my thumbnail picture. The thing that went live after it snapped the thumbnail. I didn't even get to see was the thumbnail decent. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to see was the thumbnail decent and the thing just goes live. I got last night's live. Don't know if y'all were able to check that out yet. But with Money, that's Marcello and my daughter. And we were, catching up with her about 20 years of Project Reach the World and what she remembers from, that was half of her childhood, Project Reach the World. But now that she kind of knows the significance. She didn't realize what it meant before, but now she does. And we also got into, we were watching, getting back to like how in her he's gonna miss in the grandchildren's life. That's why I'm trying to quickly work to get this channel to grow, to get the story of Marcello to reach further, and to break his wrongful conviction and get him home. Okay, guys, I was trying to show y'all the video. Well, maybe it's meant to do it in another video anyway because it just started. But I was listening to, it is, what's his name? Okay, so they just opened a place here in the Everglades called You Can't Say What You Need to Say. So anytime y'all notice something is bogus about something, they'll put parameters around you even saying the words. So Gator Alley is what we'll call it, Gator Alley. Maybe that'll work. And I was watching how they were saying the inhumane circumstances about Gator Alley. And to me, just listening, now outside of the location, which is already crazy, where they have snakes, gators, they got the big snakes. Now, Florida got snakes anyway. Florida got gators anyway. But me being a Floridian for over 30-something years, girl, about to be 40-something years, we know to keep our distance and stay out of those territories that belong to animals, right? We stay away. Like, they have bears here, they have gators here, they have snakes. So there are some people that goes into those environments, but setting up a whole camp there just does not, and it's already the sweltering heat. Now, these are things that we are already advocating for in Florida DOC from the beginning. I am a prison advocate. Okay, y'all don't know who I am, so let me introduce myself really quickly and then get back to this. So put a pin there because your girl will forget what the heck she was talking about and go off, because Cadillac do get off track. Okay, what it is, you guys, it is your girl Cadillac. Yes, I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. Helping! Because you got to hold your breath for justice to see justice before all face to black. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, guys, I'm coming through today, July the 17th, 2025. Okay, so back to what I was saying before. I forget what I was saying. I was talking about Gator Alley, the camp at Gator Alley. I was watching a lot of videos about that. I do share these videos with you guys on my community page. Anything that I believe in, anything that I back, anything that pertains or somehow connects with me, I share over on my community page. and I've been sharing a lot about Gator Alley, and I am a criminal justice reform and prison reform advocate. And you know, we've been advocating about these sweltering heats within DOC, and I'm gonna liken it to this facility because basically they're running it the way they run DOCs here in this state, right? It's already ran like that. It's already those inhuman circumstances. So it's already the sweltering heat. It's already the problems and issues with the water, like this. But now they don't even have like running water there. Like that's crazy. Um, they're talking about the infestations of the mosquitoes. You know that's the issue in Florida, but deeper down there you're gonna have it worse. And then the worst is the gators. The gators and the snakes. Now, I don't understand how they expect the wildlife to stay out of the camp. Because I know they claim that if the incarcerated, okay, so I don't call them inmates, I call them incarcerated citizens. So because this is where, and I'm not even going to say they're not citizens because it's questionable. They're not even getting the chance to plead their cases or whether they're citizens or not. But, so what would be a good, there, I don't even know a phrase to call, but I don't like inmate because that's derogatory. We'll just call them the incarcerated right now until there's a better phrase to call them. Okay, so until the incarcerated at Gator Alley is like I don't understand how they think you're gonna keep the incarcerated and the wildlife separate. So they're saying that if the incarcerated tries to escape, it's like Alcatraz, how Alcatraz actually was. Now, can we even say that now? Oh, so aggravating. But how it was surrounded by water and people that I actually covered a little video of Miss, what's her name now? Her name is on the tip of my mind. I'll think of it later when I watch this back. Oh, Jessica Kent. And she was talking about all the attempted escapes from this facility that basically once they did escape, they were able to escape, but then it was like because they were like locked by water, nobody really made it away. And one of my favorite movies is actually with Clint Eastwood. I love a good prison movie. Y'all, put in the comments, what is your favorite prison movie? Like, I have yet to do a video about that. I needed to do a top 10 of prison movies. I love prison movies. But that was also one of my favorites, Escape from Alcatraz. Now, I don't know if they really did get away because most of the other attempts, nobody got away. So this is what they're envisioning here, that the wildlife is going to take care of them if they try to get away. But how are they even going to keep them off the premises? Like, do you know these animals scale gates? And then if they do try to scale these gates, ain't that going to hurt the wildlife? Right? Because a lot of times people care about animals more than they care about humans. So how are you going to keep them separate like that? And those things, they're dangerous. But they're coming to their territory to incarcerate. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, even my husband, he was incarcerated in, he's wrongfully incarcerated. If you did not know, he has been for the last 23 years. I have been advocating to break his story and try to get him home, but I'm losing the battle. So he does have about 10 to 11 more years of his wrongful conviction to complete. He's been to so many different facilities within these 23 years, which one is called Lake Correctional, which Lake because there were two lakes. There's a lake on the outside, and there was a lake within the middle of the compound where Marcello said that gators were actually in that lake. And y'all know where I was just visiting him at FSP. I mean, not FSP, sorry. Central Florida Reception Center. I told y'all when I was going to visitation, there were sightings of gators, and it scared me to life taking my grandchildren. Like, I would take one grandchild at a time because I'm like, if this gator come out while I'm trying to check into visitation and the door, the gate is locked, there's nowhere for me to flee to. And will they even get to open the gate fast enough? Will they even open the gate if a gator comes out? And I have my one, like I have my two grandbabies. I was like, I could probably get away with one, but my two, like, so there were gator sightings there. So they're going to, I don't know, it doesn't seem like any good idea. And it just seems like us advocating for humane imprisonment. Humane. Just because you're in prison does not mean that you're now some type of animal, right? And I know the responses as well. You should never did what you did. My husband's innocent. So he is getting consequences he does not deserve, right? He already don't deserve to be in prison, but does he deserve to be eaten by some wildlife or attacked by wildlife? Like, we're already fighting for them to be treated as human, as they're, you know, honestly, it's going to make it really hard for them in their redemption process if you're not a stoic, because they should have never did what they did. And never knowing that you could be in them shoes. That they pass down to others. May the justice or the lack of justice that they gave to the next be upon them. Justice, right? But yeah, I was gonna share a little bit of that with you, but the video, just I have the wrongful conviction. I have a couple of more queued up because these stories are just coming at me now, like wrongful convictions, like everywhere. I pray that my husband, Marcello Jackson's story, hits y'all headlines soon. Florida man freed after 23 years wrongfully incarcerated in the state of Florida. If you want to help, check the comment section or the description box with his petition, and please sign this petition. Thank you to those recently that have signed it. I appreciate you because you are helping keep my petition open. If my petition does not gain traction because it's kind of been flatlined, they're going to shut it down and I will have to start again. This is my second petition for my husband. I really don't want to start again. And my petition gained traction in 2020, but then it became dormant. So thank you for those. I think it's 3 new signatures, and I want to thank you. There's I don't know your username. Maybe I can look it up really quickly to give you a thank you because I know you personally told me that you signed it, and I went over and checked, and I do see the signature. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for signing. You're helping keep my petition alive. Okay. Come on, I know the username is here somewhere. Can't be far. I've seen you left a lot of comments showing your support. Truly appreciate that. And I thank you for watching, because it's been a long time that I've been on my channel and kind of talking to myself, having conversations with myself, because nobody was really watching like that. Oh, here it is. Okay, so at SDRL-X5U. Thank you so much for signing the petition for my husband to be freed from his wrong. I truly appreciate you. Um, so, with that said, I am going to continue the story of another wrongful conviction. I have part one. I'll try to link it in the description box because y'all know I never really get to my description box. So sometimes I do, girl, but we'll try. But the video had abruptly stopped, or abruptly, I don't know. It stopped right away, girl. So I am going to continue it. Okay, so this is the wrongful conviction story of Calvin Duncan. Check out part one. This is part two. The reason I read these out loud is because with these and the petitions, it's like people find it really difficult just to go read it, just to look at it, just to click on it, just to, the first step. So I do the first step for you. I bring you the video, and then you can hear the story, and then you can act after that, right? So Calvin Duncan did 30 years in DOC for a crime he did not commit. Well, not 30 years, it was like 28 point something, so almost 30 years. He became a jailhouse lawyer. And actually, he was getting people off, but wasn't getting traction into his case. And it wasn't until the Innocence Project came along and took his case that he actually found his freedom. So it takes someone outside of yourself. I know in my husband's case, it's going to take somebody with a bigger platform, bigger reach, somebody that actually have those connections. And I have been praying that God would please send my destiny helpers to me. And I know he's going to answer that prayer, because I know in his eyes that I have been faithful in this situation, and I have done all that I can do. It's not much more but to maintain, but it's no more of the scaling that I can do. So I know that God works through others. So this is in God's hands. It's always been in God's hands. But, faith without works. So I have to work, I have to put in the work. And I have to have faith, which my faith has wavered back and forth. I ain't gonna lie to you. I get a huge amount of faith at one point, and then my faith dwindles. But it never, ever, ever, I'm never completely void of faith. I'll get all the way down to like what they would call that mustard seed of faith. And it will get down that small. And then it'll be the next idea that would cause the faith to grow back again. And then nothing happens, and then it dwindles back down, and then it becomes that mustard seed again. It's never completely void of faith. I always have something that keeps me going. I have fought with myself over this wrongful conviction for so long because I just want to give up. I'm going to tell you my true, honest. I'm here to be honest with you guys. I want to give up. I have wanted to give up a long time ago. Once I found out for myself that justice is not just, my opinion, and freedom is not free, my opinion again, and for entertainment purposes, when I found out how this system really works and how it is actually like a game that is fixed. It's like a fixed game. And I realized how it's really not conducive of innocent people being let go of prison. Because if it is, he would have been out. If it was really just the way they say that it is, allegedly, he would have been out a long time ago. I've reached too many people. I've gotten this story right in the people's hands that could make the difference. And so learning, it was a difference. Before, I believed because I was naive. Believe because you're naive is because you believe in this justice and you think that the justice is going to work for you. I was in that state when I started this journey, and upon coming down this road, I found out that it's an illusion. Like, I used to think that justice really exists. Now I see that it exists only for the rich. Only for the rich. It's a price to pay for justice. So when I learned that, it starts making you realize that, oh, so unless I can afford justice, I'm not going to get justice. So I started trying to scale, to grow, to build something that can bring in income, and that never took hold. So I started realizing that we don't have a shot in jail within this system. We don't have a shot in jail. So I started then losing the faith, and it dwindled down. But it never got smaller than that mustard seed. That mustard seed can make it flourish all over again. And it's been a repeated cycle. Grander than life faith, I know he's coming home, to dwindle back down to a mustard seed. But it never is completely gone. That's why I keep fighting on. Okay, so going back to help people that need help is the thing that I live for. He says, I know there's a lot of people in prison need help and they want people to come help them. And for me to go back and to actually fulfill that obligation, that's what keeps me going. Duncan's new memoir, co-authored with Sophie Cole, is called The Jailhouse Lawyer. Let me show you the cover. Okay. That's the cover there. Oops. The Jailhouse Lawyer. Okay, interview highlights. On his role as a jailhouse lawyer, our function was to provide legal assistance to people that could not afford to get our hands on. That's one reason why they charge so much. Okay. That's one reason why they charge so much. Okay. We spent a lot of time researching issues. And then in the process of reviewing a person's case, look for errors that happened in the case that prevented that individual from being afforded a fair trial. All the facts in the cases that really raise flags as a person possibly innocent. Now think about those that can never afford that process to take place. If a person is innocent, we actually contact the Innocence Project New Orleans to look at the individual's case. But if we don't have any facts of innocence and we determine that the person wasn't afforded the fair trial, we actually draft a petition, which is generally, in most states, is a petition for post-conviction relief. Once we prepare it, we get with our clients, and if they approve of it, the client signs it and sends it to the court. In a nutshell, we function just like lawyers. One of the things that we can't do as lawyers is leave the prison to provide investigations. Wow, how does he do that though? Because they can't use internet. Can they? Was he able to use internet in there? Because how do you find a lot of this stuff? That's amazing. With the smaller amount of resources, they were able to do that. Okay, on the Innocence Project taking this case. The Innocence Project, New Orleans, accepted my case and they started investigating my case. They actually went and talked to the witnesses. They got access to the documents that I couldn't get on my own. And as a result of that, they discovered evidence that had the jury heard about this evidence, I would not have been found guilty. Many of that is missing in my husband's case. I told y'all the first thing they do is they delete that exculpatory evidence. They hide it. They make it hard to find. They don't present it to the jury. It's like a one-sided case that the jury, of course, even if they are not biased, which many times they make sure they are biased, But if they're not, they only have a flat case. They don't have enough that shows the person may not have done it. They're providing only inculpatory evidence for you to judge, and of course that's how you're going to judge. They're not providing all the facts. They're deleting the exculpatory evidence. The way I put an analogy to it is back in my day, when we used to go on a road trip, we would get road maps. And if somebody that strategically cut holes in my map, but still wanted me to arrive to my destination, I may arrive to my destination, meaning verdict. Verdict means truth. I could arrive to the truth. But you've cut so many holes, what if I make a wrong turn and I get thrown off course? That's what they do. They present these cases with holes. There's nothing more that you can do but find a person guilty, honestly. As a result of that, they discovered evidence that had the jury heard about this evidence, I would not have been found guilty. And one of the things that was key in my case was that the two detectives that arrested me in Oregon was under investigation themselves. I tell y'all that too. Wrongful convictions start with wrongful arrest. My husband's story too. Wrongful arrest. And there are question marks around the arresting officer. He did so much incorrectly. He changed the alleged scene of the alleged crime, the fabricated crime really, so that it can align with my husband being in this parking lot. Now, how they backed him in that is they just took his word and they claimed there was no surveillance in a club/hotel. Surveillance would have showed 100% Marcello Jackson was not on his premises, so he couldn't have wrongfully robbed your two alleged victims that ran off and didn't want nothing to do with this. That could not have happened because he was not on those premises. They hid those. They claimed there was no surveillance. When later there was another alleged robbery in that same parking lot, and they found their suspect by the surveillance cameras that you hid in my husband's case, that you lied and said did not exist. So that's how they backed them. That's how it starts with him lying, and then it goes on to, oh, we got to cover his lie. We know that our officer lied. That can't be true. So how can we cover it? We'll just take the surveillance cameras out. So now they have to go by our officer's word, which you know, officer's word hold a lot of weight. It holds almost more weight than God. They're officers, and I'm saying that sarcastically because I don't believe that. But I know that when an officer say you did something, baby, in this world, you did it. He also had the alleged victims write up sworn affidavits, and they wrote that my husband allegedly robbed them of $80. And now, what's so crazy, and then this is how they covered that. So they alleged my husband robbed them of $80. But later, when they asked, so why didn't you dust the fingerprints of their wallets? They said they just didn't want to. They declined. They just didn't dust the wallet for fingerprints to find that Marcello. If they had dusted their wallet, they would have found that no fingerprints were on those wallets, but the individuals who owned them wallets. See, they could have also proved there that my husband did not rob them, but they wanted to do everything to not prove the truth. So that's why they did not dust those wallets. But how the $80 comes, I've told this story a long time ago, so I'm just going to do it as a refresher because I know I have new people here. So when it says that my husband allegedly robbed them of $80, they say they were at this club that had no surveillance, this club/hotel, and that they had just borrowed $80 from their friend, the bartender. The bartender was never questioned. He should have been questioned. Did these two said guys borrow $80 from you? Yes, they did. Or no, they did not. They never interviewed the bartender. They said they did not have $80 of their own money. They had only the money they borrowed from the bartender. That is why their money was not in their wallet. So they're saying that Marcello demanded their wallets, which even if they claim Marcello held their wallets and went through it and seen they didn't have nothing on them, but they would not dust in wallets for Marcello's fingerprints. And they said it was on the outside because they had just borrowed the money from the bartender. So that's the reasoning of why the money was not inside the wallet and why it was separate, that $80 that they just borrowed. And Marcello conveniently came to rob them of $80. It makes no sense. Because even if you did just borrow $80 from the bartender, I'm going to put it in my wallet. Like, I'm just going to put it straight in my wallet. Like, why would I not? Doesn't make sense. But this is the $80 that they allege my husband robbed, right? So when my husband was arrested, they lied and said my husband ran. It was proven my husband never ran. When told to come here, he walked up to the officer at G point, was put on the ground, and he laid there. He did not run. But they lie and say that he ran. And the reason I believe they did that is because they attached a weapon to my husband. So if he did not run, there's no possible way that the lies of these officers that they couldn't find the weapon could be true, because he didn't run. I'm in the bathroom now. If I have a weapon on me in this bathroom, officers break in here and arrest me and say I had a weapon, but they can't find it, how would that make any sense? But we're still going to charge you with it, but we can't find it. How could you not find it if it was present? Because it's present in this little tiny area. Marcello didn't run. There was nowhere for him to discard said weapon you're charging him with. But you're still going to charge him with it, because you're going by the officer saying that he gave good search for it but could not find it. That's a lie. But that's why they're saying that he ran. So they say that he ran, and they found him blocks away, which is a lie. Because even in their arrest report where they say they arrested him, is not blocks away. It's right there. No running involved. It's right there. That's like finding me in this bathroom, but you say I ran. You see how big this bathroom is? Where the heck did I run to? And you still write that I was arrested at this address. How could both be true? They conflict. It does not make sense, but they still took this on through trial. So they said, she alleged that my husband ran and they had to go catch him and bring him back to the alleged victims. And after they had already wrote their statements, and they searched Marcello, and Marcello has only $60 on him. The money doesn't align. We can't charge him with robbery because the money ain't the same. Even the judge said that. Where's the other $20? Where's the rest of the money? If he stole 80 from you, will rob 80 of you. Once you put that weapon onto it, it's armed robbery. How did he do this, but he doesn't have the whole money? Where's the rest of the money? That's when the officer realized that was not going to pass the smell test. So he gives the sworn affidavits back to the two alleged victims and tell them to amend it. Cross out 80 and write in 60. and one of them initialed it. They both initialed it, but one put a little smiley face above the initial. So this is what Marcello is doing 40 years in prison for. His own money. That was Marcello's money. He just got paid. This is the time when we used to cash our paychecks. So if you cash your paycheck, this happened on Sunday. I think he got paid on Friday. By what? Sunday, he still got some money in his pocket. He had just came from 7-Eleven. They also would not give us 7-Eleven surveillance to prove he was at 7-Eleven, because if you're not going to give us the surveillance to prove he's not in his parking lot, if you give us the 7-Eleven surveillance, he can't be in two places at one time. So if he's at 7-Eleven, he's not at your club robbing these people. They would not release that either. They said, his public defender said that costs way too much money and we can't afford that. But he did afford. He asked the judge. So if you could ask the judge for money, food, lodging, and travel to go subpoena the victims that ran off because they did not want to press charges against Marcello to Vermont. They ran from Florida to Vermont. These people that were allegedly robbed by Marcello. But you didn't have the money for that, but you went and you asked the judge and the judge granted you money. Why couldn't you ask the judge to grant you money to have surveillance pulled because it would prove your client's innocence? Why did you not do that? Anything that you needed money for that would convict your client, you asked for. Which means ineffective counsel. You never tried to fight for him. You fought against him. And you're the reason that this stuck. He's the reason. And then he lied later and said he never knew Marcello had any family when our daughter was crawling up his freaking leg every freaking meeting. I've been there from the beginning. Our daughter was a little hand baby crawling on his desk and crawling up under the desk, pulling on his leg. But you didn't know Marcello had anybody that loved him. You didn't know he had a family. Anything. But that's what they left out. Had they presented that to the jury, would that jury have found Marcello guilty at the highest with a weapon? Would they have done that? Had they had all those missing links, missing pieces? They wouldn't have. I doubt they would have. And if they would have had to have been artists. There would have been no reason they would have found him guilty. Because they would have had all the pieces to find him innocent. They hid those pieces. It's like you're doing a jigsaw puzzle and someone take out the pieces and hide them. How could you see the full picture? As a result, they discovered evidence that the jury heard about. If they hadn't heard about evidence, it would not have been. I would not have been found guilty. And one of the things that was key in the case was the two detectives arrested in Oregon. Oh, that's where I got to. Yes, the officer that arrested my husband wrongfully, allegedly, he has cases of excessive force against him. And in that case, just like this case, him and the other officers, they statements don't align. You can't align a lie. You can align the truth. But their statements and why they pounded this guy one time and he was on the ground and they proceeded to pound him 50 times rather than just arresting him. When questioned, they all had different statements. And they had a lawsuit against them. Which I do think the mother of that victim won that lawsuit. So they must have been guilty. This is the same guy that did all this stuff. So when you allowed him to do this stuff, when they allowed him to get away with this, that put a battery, in Marcello's case, that put a battery in his back to be able to do what he wants. How many other cases? Only reason I know about this other guy's case because it became big because they deleted him, excessively deleted him. Would that have even happened had you checked him when he was committing wrongdoings back in 2001 when he wrongfully arrested my husband? Had you checked him then, would he have been able to start wrongfully deleting people rather than arresting them and taking them to jail and letting the court play out its process? You deleted him. Both was being investigated by the FBI for trying to fabricate evidence against a representative in Oregon, and one was charged. Another thing that we discovered from the files was that the statements that they say that I had told them, they actually told me those statements. And getting access to those records proved that the detectives in my case had lied to the jury that convicted me. That's why jury trial, people say, oh, you sat before a jury of your peers, 12 juries of your peers, there's no way you're innocent. They tamper with that too. Okay, on being exonerated 10 years after being released from prison. In 2021, I was called back to court and I was exonerated because my case had never been actually adjudicated. The new evidence was never reviewed, and at the time that I took the deal, they reviewed it later. They determined that my conviction was unconstitutional. This is why I need help with somebody. I know you're going to find something that stinks in that garbage bag, but you're making that garbage bag stay closed and stay put away. But if you ever open it, you're going to find so much within his case. And I need somebody to help me open this case. I've done all that I can do. I'm for the next step. And that petition can urge people. That gets attention. They don't like attention. They don't like this bad attention. But as long as it's silent, you can do this. They can do this. They determined that my conviction was unconstitutional. I was innocent, and therefore they vacated the 2 guilty pleas, and I was totally exonerated. The first best deal was when I got out January the 7th, 2000. That's why it takes so long. If it was really set up justly, the way it's set up justly, but they don't go by the way it's set up, right? They do this backdoor thing. But if it really was conducive of justice, it would not take when they bring it to you. If you really just the process of crime he didn't commit, and they don't want to start cutting them checks. So that's why you gotta stay in your wrongful conviction. And there are many states you can't get paid. Like as in Kevin Strickland case. He had 42 years wrongfully, and all they did was put him out the door. And you would get $40,000 a year for a 10-year period. Well, I actually applied for that, but I didn't get it. But what I did get, I got released. When I got released was a $10 check. And I still have that $10 check. That is a blow in your face. $10 for your 28 years. That's what you mean to the system. You know how much money they make off of him wrongfully in prison? You know how much money they make off of rightful incarcerations? Ching, 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 ching. on his persistence despite all of his obstacles. What I firmly believe is that entitled, we all entitled to hope. I think it's supposed to say we're all entitled to hope. You make sure you keep hope and make sure other people maintain hope. It's hard though. After you see so many dead ends, it's very hard. But I still got that mustard seed. In Louisiana, we don't have a right to a lawyer. And so you have all these people convicted by non-unanimous jury verdicts. Yep, there you don't have to have everybody. You just have to have a majority. And cases already come down to the majority. So it could be that one person saving you. But with a non-unanimous jury, they ain't even got to try that hard. They really don't. To get a wrongful conviction. They can easily wrongfully convict somebody. In Louisiana, we don't have a right to, and that means you should be alarmed because it can easily happen to you. That's what you don't realize. And this is how they do it. Because you're unsuspected. You're an unsuspected alleged victim of this system. So if the victims don't know they can be victimized in this way, allegedly, it's easier for us to do it. In Louisiana, we don't have a right to a lawyer, so you have all these people convicted by non-unanimous jury verdicts, which were legal in Louisiana prior to 1991. We know that the conviction is unconstitutional. And so I believe that once we know that an injustice has occurred, I think it's the obligation of every person to keep on educating people, telling people, look, this law is creating harm. This law is unjust. They already have too many leeways. It's just giving you more leeway to do the wrong thing. My persistence comes in that just believing that if you give people an opportunity to do the right thing, they would do it. Sometimes it takes a long time for that to happen, but history has shown that it actually happens, and you just can't give up in spite of being told no, no, no. It only has 3 no's, but let me put in how many I've heard. No, 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 sorry I can't help you. No, no, you don't have enough money for me to be able to even open the case. No, 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 no. He's used all of his lifelines. There's nothing. He's done too much time. No. His case is too old. No, 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 no. And I'm not Destiny Child. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Girl, no. And then put a exponent times all those no's I said. 23 to 24, because we were fighting before he was wrongfully convicted. Those are all the no's we heard. All right. So you just can't give up in spite of being told no, no, no. Especially when you know you're right. That's what's worse, because you know you're innocent. On an American judicial system, it's so twisted, it's so crude to tell poor people that because you don't have enough money to hire a lawyer, we're not going to give you the same justice that will give somebody that could afford a lawyer. And what I see now, they're starting to, people would crowdfund. I tried it, but I didn't raise, I didn't even raise enough for a Netflix bill. But people do crowdfund to try to get legal representation, and I see now they're starting to try to obstruct that. To me, that is a crude way, really treating poor people, because I've seen people that have lawyers prevail. That's what it's about. It's a money grab. It's a business. And they have a target audience. People with lawyers don't prevail. Sam Bricker and Anna Bauman produced and edited this interview for broadcast. Bridget Bent, Molly 7-Nesper, I'm sorry, 7 hyphen Nesper, and Megan Sullivan adapted it for web. So because this is part 2, I don't have the title. Let me go back and read you the title of this article. I'm going to add this to the playlist of the wrongfully convicted people whose stories I covered. So this is the wrongfully convicted. He became the jailhouse lawyer and helped free himself and others. I added the and others, but they forgot that out. This is from July 14, 2005, heard on Fresh Air. Terry Gross. Oh, so I think it was a podcast, so we might can listen to that another time. So, guys, I got about 30 minutes. Meet me in the next video. I am going to cover the next wrongful conviction story, because there's more. Another one. Here's another one. And another one. And another one. Alright, it's your girl Cadillac.